What's up, y'all? Today in this quick video we're gonna go over the top most effective baits, live baits and fresh cut baits for fishing off of the beach. I'm here with my good friend, this is Nathan Pruitt, HandtideStix, custom rod builder here in the Outer Banks, but he builds rods for people all over. Nathan's been fishing, beach fishing his entire life, and today we're gonna talk about the most effective baits that y'all can catch big fish from the beach right here. So let's go ahead, let's get started. What's the first one we got?
We'll go with a small bottom rig. This is something that you could use all up and down the eastern seaboard. Very, very basic. They call them bottom rigs or high-low rigs. It's just a wireframe rig, mono little snelled hooks. This is sized for the bait that we're putting on it. We're only putting little tiny pieces of shrimp.
All right, y'all, so this right here, these are the hooks that we're gonna be using primarily with the bottom rig. These are eagle claw, these are snelled hooks. These are pre-made, very easy. The baits that you can use on the bottom rig, anything. These are fish bites. These right here are, you know, they're not live bait, but they do stay on longer. With one strip of this, you can pretty much catch fish almost all day long. You can use shrimp. This is just some frozen shrimp. Even shrimp that you buy at the grocery store, you can use too, any of that. We've got sand fleas. Sand fleas are highly effective. All right, y'all, so then the other option is clams. Some other things that aren't featured here is we've got squid. Really anything works on your bottom rig or your high-low rig will work. But this is clam right here, and shrimp is probably the most effective and easiest bait that's gonna really catch you anything. Anything from striped bass to even like tarpon, pompano, everything eats shrimp. So those right there, those are the main baits that y'all can use on a bottom rig. Another variation of the bottom rig, you have a few other variations of it. This right here is a little bit larger version of a bottom rig. You also have these floats right here. What these do is these act as like, they just kind of keep it off of the bottom, so you're not getting a lot of those bottom feeders like a blue crab or crabs stealing your bait, or even like stingrays. So what they do is they kind of act as like miniature floats in the water. Even the color also attracts the fish. We've got larger hooks on these. These are pre-made with hooks that already came on them. So this is perfect to use your fresh cut mullet. So these are fresh cut mullet strips right here. You could even catch little sharks on these, flounder again, redfish, striped bass. Everything's gonna hit this. So just a little bit of a different variation of a bottom rig, a little bit larger hooks. Again, for your weights on these on the bottom, it's very easy. These weights, they just snap right on. So you've got this clip right here, and these are little pyramid lead sinkers. This is a 2-ounce pyramid sinker, so you can use really anything from a 1 to 3 to 4 ounce, even heavier sometimes, just depending on the current and how much the water's moving that day. This is just a different variation. Nathan's gonna show y'all the next step up from that. It's gonna be our fish finder rig.
Yeah, this is your fish finder rig, and the hook sizes on these tend to go a little bit bigger. 3/0 to 5/0 size hooks for little cubes and strips of bait. It's a single hook rig, and instead of the weight being on the bottom, it slides freely up above like a Carolina style rig. This is going to be more for casting distance, because when this casts, it doesn't have a lot of stuff up ahead of it that's swinging around through the air as it flies. It's really kind of almost a tight package, like where these two pieces are tumbling over each other, and it'll fly through the air a little faster. And these, we make this rig so that we could fish for, mostly it's larger fish that move around. It would be drum, speckled trout even, bluefish. If you're trying to fish out farther and stuff too, you'll catch bluefish with this type of rig.
Cobia will bite that too.
Cobia will crush stuff like this. When you actually are, you know, targeting the bigger stuff, we'll bump all of this up to larger sizes, larger hooks, bigger baits. Fishing for the larger ones, you'll bump up your size hook. This one's an 8/0 hook. And a lot of times too, we'll use the head of the bait. This is a mullet head. And you could use anything that you catch as long as it's legal. You can use the head of the bait. And the reason that we like that a lot is it'll stay on the hook a lot better. If we have a strip of bait down there, the little bottom feeders, little crabs and stuff like that will pick you to death. A head will stay out there substantially longer because there's so much there, and you'd be surprised that they all seem to like to eat a fish head. So, but this is a larger rig, and again, like, this is all about trying to cast far. That's the reason that you have a shorter leader. Your weight and your bait are real close to each other, and when it flies through the air, there's going to be less tumbling. It can only move so much going through the air. It makes a nice little package flying through the air. And we rig this up with the heavy weight. We like to use, instead of a regular fish finder, we'll use a snap swivel type rig, and we put the beads on it to keep the shock knot from getting all beat up, but it also keeps your weight from sliding too far up your shock line. This is your basic drum rig for Carolina fishing, but like I said, and Jeff said, you can catch just about everything that's bigger on that rig too. Sharks, it's endless what you catch on them. Cobias, everything. Your mullet starts off looking like this, and like for the smaller stuff, the way that we did it, we scaled it and then we cut strips out of it. For the bigger drum, we'll take and just cut his head off and then cut sections out of his body. When I drum fish, I typically don't scale it as much. I'm not worried about the scales off and opening it up. I kind of will keep them on to help keep the bait on during a really hard cast. But these are prime drum baits right here. And then as far as strip baits go, it's a great bait to cut up and strip. It stays on the hook a little bit better. It keeps the like when you do got a lot of picker fish, like we call, like little pig fish, pinfish, and spot and stuff like that around, they'll pick your pieces to death, and something like this will stay on a lot better than like shrimp and sand fleas and such. It's a little bit like if there's a lot of pickers around, it's a little bit easier to strip these out and use this bait too, because it'll stay on the hook much better than the other stuff too.
You can even fish some blue crabs on this. Very effective. You could cut up a blue crab in half. A lot of your drum and your scent oriented fish like drum, black drum and red drum are gonna feed on those. But this is mullet right here. So that's it, y'all. This is Nathan Pruitt. He's with HandtideStix in the Outer Banks. Y'all check him out and get up off your butt and go catch yourself a big old fish off the beach. Peace out.
Thank you.